I suggest we move to Nick. Hi, Nick. Thanks again to you as well for being with us tonight. Means a lot. And yeah, I'll hand it over to you.
I'm notoriously fast at presenting as well, so if this lasts for 5 minutes, forgive me. I always do it. I seem to race through things. Okay, cool. So I'll share my screen. Hopefully, can you all see? Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, it looks good.
Cool, brilliant. So I wasn't too sure what to present on, but I've just given kind of a bit of an overview on VMI Studio and how it came to be, and the kind of work that we produce. So VMI Studio, we've been around for about 8 years. I started actually just on my own when I was about 23, and I had a kind of small team for a couple of years, and my brother joined Fergus a couple of years in, and he kind of helped me develop the business further, and we've gone from 1 to 16 artists. So the way in which we approach kind of our projects is maybe slightly different. We try and take quite a holistic approach to our clients. So our focus is kind of really bringing ideas to life that are joy to experience. And what I mean by that is trying to visualize or create an immersive experience for our clients, but something that's enjoyable and engaging and got a strong narrative and communicates a message. So our disciplines are CGI imagery, film, interactive, immersion, and experience design. We work globally, so this year we've actually been fortunate enough to work places like Sri Lanka, Nigeria, and Turks and Caicos, which is kind of unusual. But it seems this year, more with COVID, we were working more internationally on CGI projects. So here's some of our team. So they're kind of a range of developers, programmers, senior mid artists, and UI and UX designers. So there's a bit of a kind of wide range because our work is, like I said, quite holistic. So we're not just CGI, we do interactive and VR and MR and even WebGL projects. At the core of it, though, for us, it's all about producing beautiful visuals. And I think, in the market with our clients, we're kind of known for kind of high photorealistic imagery for marketing. So an image like this is kind of a good representation of that. It's about trying to create an evocative feeling. So in this visual, you can't actually see the apartment. It's more getting a sense of Midtown and what it'd be like to live there. And I feel like an image like this might tell you more about this scheme than maybe 20 visuals in an animation could. So this is a visual part of the same project. A lot of our work is actually stateside. This is in Canary Wharf. We've started increasingly working in pure 3D. So, we like to approach our projects kind of like a photographer, not limited to just modeling what's kind of visible in the scene. We try and model as much as we can if we have the time to, so that we've got more freedom to produce more cinemagraphs, animation, and really have that freedom to explore the scene. The project's in San Francisco. And then increasingly, we're working at animation and producing what we call stories, which is just kind of small little sequences that communicate the scheme in a kind of short, bite-sized video. So similar to what Jonathan was saying, a lot of clients are looking for social media content and content that you can kind of send out real quick. And then, picking up small details that kind of quite evocative and speak to the viewer. So little cinegraphs of perspiration coming out of the pasta. Similar, this is in project in New Jersey, trying to kind of bring traditional visuals to life and have some motion to them. Another kind of big part of our business is VR and creating installations for cultural heritage institutions. So this image here is a photograph of a project we recently worked on for the Imperial War Museum, in which we reconstructed scenes from the Holocaust, which is a pretty kind of delicate subject matter, but we were provided with a series of photographs from Warsaw, and we went about kind of looking at reference data and archaeological information before Warsaw was bombed, and built up a series of CGIs and VR experience. So as you can see here, this is some of the data we were using. So this photograph here was from 1939, before it was bombed, and the photograph, unfortunately, if you can see here, sorry, this photograph here, we managed to find that the photograph taken of these people being rounded up, we managed to find from data that it was actually this building here. And then we were able to reconstruct that scene. So a lot of our projects are kind of in the cultural and historic realm, really because I actually used to be an archaeologist, so I've got a real interest in that. But this was a particularly kind of delicate project, and yeah, a very kind of left of field thing to do, and pretty evocative too. We ended up taking it to synagogues in London, in South Amsterdam, and to museums as well. Is a photograph of the exhibition. This is another project we worked on a couple of years ago that really taught us a great deal about VR and some kind of more complex side to it. So we worked alongside an artist called Matt Collishaw, who wanted to, he approached us and said he'd like to reconstruct the first ever photographic exhibition, which was in 1839 or around then. And it's in 2017, so a lot of this technology, the HTC Vive and the backpack was relatively new. And we went about building a physical installation that you can see here, these white rooms, and matching to the millimeter to our virtual scene that we built in Unreal Engine. Had the HTC Vive, we had haptics to pick up hand movement, and then a portable backpack. And this exhibition actually had 60,000 people come to it in the first 2 weeks, and it was in time out for 2 weeks. So it was like a real kind of launching pad for us into this immersive work. And this is another example. It's for one of our clients called Segro, and they build massive warehouses, which sounds kind of boring, but they're actually the largest property company in Europe building these warehouses. And because of our historic reconstruction work, we built up a VR experience of their whole entire 100-year history, in which we looked at, again, archaeological data of the initial warehouses that they built. They used to have Mars factory there, the Citroen factory there, and they had a massive kind of push and effort towards World War II in helping manufacture Spitfires, for example. So it's a really great experience. We did it on a VR headset, touchscreen, and 360 content. And what that really taught us is, if you build a lot of this content in a real-time engine, you can really push out a lot of content from there. It's very reusable. You can have touchscreen experience, 360 film. You can have headset. It's even rushes for film. It's a pretty kind of brilliant ecosystem working in a real-time engine, especially something like Unreal Engine. And then most important to us is realizing a message, trying to understand what it is that our clients are looking to achieve. And we do sometimes receive RFPs or receive a list of renderings that they'd like to achieve. And we always push for an initial meeting to really kind of understand what it is that they're looking to achieve. And really kind of prod them and see, look, do you really need a rendering? Do you need film? Do you need a graffiti? Trying to understand what the challenges is. And then from that point, we develop the brief alongside them, exploring different technologies and maybe some prototyping, some research. And then finally, we deliver and realize on that project. And our goal is to amaze, produce really high quality work and something a bit left of field. So why does VMI exist? I thought I'd give a bit of background. I was actually, like I mentioned earlier, an archaeologist, and it's a bit of a strange segue into architectural visualization, but actually a lot of the tools that you learn in archaeology are very similar. I learned surveying at AutoCAD, and my first kind of introduction to 3D was via 3D scanning, mesh optimization, and then finally visualization from there. This is pretty bad render, but it was a while ago. And actually my first office was right next to Truckles here. It's kind of unfortunate because I didn't know that 3ds London existed, which is a shame because I would have loved to be part of that community early on, because I thought I was one of the only people that actually did this. Okay, so the business of ArcViz, I wasn't sure whether or not I should speak about this because it said in the title to talk about business. Should I do that or not? Because it's a little bit dull.
Yeah, no, go for it. We'd love it.
Absolutely.
So I just kind of written a little list here of things that I was trying to think, what have I learned in the last 8 years? What are the kind of the most poignant things that I've taken from all of that? And number one is to build the business, not just the revenue. And what I mean by that is building an entity or a house or a ship that enables you to produce great work, larger projects, and a solid team. Everybody can, if you're starting out as a freelancer or starting a company, everyone can sell a few CGIs and make a bob, but building a business gives you longevity, and hopefully it will put you in good stead for time to come. So certainly the first few years, I just sleep under my desk half the time and not paying myself, and just do what I had to do to try and build the business and be able to work on projects. So that's something that I think is really important. Number two, quality. It's quite difficult to find new clients. It's not the easiest thing to do. It's quite a competitive market, but it's quite easy to have repeat business. You just get an email through. So, always try and deliver high quality for your clients. Number three, understand your clients' challenges. Really do understand. I feel like in ArcViz that gets missed a few times. We sometimes get bogged down in the technology, or is this material looking beautiful and blah blah blah. Sometimes it's just not important. You have to try and understand what their business objective is, or their artistic objectives are, and kind of get into their head. Number four, innovation. That's always been really key to VMI. It's like one of kind of our fundamentals, and only because I find all these technologies so interesting, pretty passionate about them. So I wouldn't just want to be doing still imagery. I'd like to learn all these different tools, and that's pushed us to learn a whole heap of different technologies. Like I said, WebGL, we've done a HoloLens project before, AR, VR, and increasingly real time. I'm pretty obsessed with that workflow and what it can do. Then five, work. Running a business is fucking terrible half the time. It's really, really hard. You got to push, and you got to be willing to do stuff that you never normally want to do, have awful conversations and all this kind of horrible stuff. But if you find yourself not doing it, you should probably go get a job. You have to work. R&D, I think R&D is really important if you have the time. But just kind of, like, I guess it's kind of similar to innovation, but just developing and ensuring that people see that work. And half the time, if you produce something good, people are going to see it. It's something like Jonathan's work. I think he publicizes on LinkedIn and Instagram, but all of us have seen it because it's good stuff, so it spreads. And then seven, do the right thing. That sounds a bit kind of like a bit left of field, but what I mean by do the right thing is just do the right thing. Do the right thing for your client. Make sure you're producing high quality work. Don't cheat people. Give your all to projects, and do the right thing by your company and the people that you're working for. So yeah, that's it. That's the presentation. I'll probably rush through that a little bit. I would mention, I said at the start, we are currently hiring. So maybe I'll put something in the YouTube thing, or I'm not sure where to follow up here, but yeah, that's it. That's kind of that's who VMI are, and that's my journey in ArcViz.